Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us for this rapid session or initial session anyway on Claude AI. We're going to be covering off quite a bit of the AI journey, what's been happening in the space, but today we're just going to focus on some of the beginnings and Claude, and we will get into a little bit of demo. We're going to keep the time really tight because there's a lot to cover, but at the same time too, we'll continue that the week after. Now, if there is any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. You can leave them till the end. We'll have a Q&A session. But let's begin. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Again, welcome and thank you all for joining. So let's get right to it. Okay. I should share my presentation. Right from the beginning. Okay. All right. Trust you can see my screen there. Okay, terrific. All right. Whoops. Good. All right. Beginning. All right. Okay, my name is Wayne Hinds, and I'm the author of Reclaim Your Digital Gold, all about data, AI, and technology as a whole, how it's transforming our world. Um, You'll be hearing a little bit more about me as time goes by, but I've been in the space for quite a while. And ironically enough, I'm a technology specialist and AI consultant, publisher, and a speaker in this arena of ever-changing digital world. And my book that you see there, Reclaiming Digital Gold, was actually written published, I should say, 6 months before ChatGPT was released on the world and now become a household name. I had no idea that would have happened afterwards, but I wrote that book really because I mean I'm a lover of technology and data and I've been in the space for such a long time, and all the research that I had done prior to had shown that Open AI, which is the parent company of ChatGPT, was about to do some major releases and so on. In fact, they had, I guess, prior to that, just before the pandemic, but nobody knew of it. Um, and but I didn't know to what extent. So I really was just covering off data and how data is such a valuable um, co commodity in our time. In fact, we're the producers of that commodity every time we get on in the digital world. So that's really, how I started in this, or in this down this journey, and just to see how things have been transforming has been phenomenal. So let's get right to this. I'm going to cover off today Claude and some of the fundamentals just to kind of level set, and then we're going to do some weekly sessions more in depth. All right. So a little bit of background. Actually, you know what? Before I do this, no, I'll stick to the script. Okay, so a little bit of background. Let's go back in history. Okay, and some of this you may already know. Okay, but some fundamentals here. The dawn of AI, artificial intelligence, actually started in the 50s. Okay, so in the 50s, it marked the emergence of artificial intelligence as a formal field of research. The Dartmouth workshop in 1956, organized by John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, Claude Shannon, keep that name in mind, and Al Newell, okay, is widely recognized as a moment that AI was formally introduced. A key milestone in 1950 was the Alan Turing proposed called the Turing test. I learned about this back in university, and back in those days it was primarily theory. Okay, and of course, here it is right up on us now. So the method of determining a machine's exhibits human-like intelligence. For example, a human would say, "What is 2 plus 2?" Well, give that to the machine, and the machine would respond. AI, artificial intelligence, would respond 4. Human would ask, okay, do you like music? AI would respond, yes, I enjoy music. That was 1950, and that was an actual breakthrough back then. But, you know, A number of things happened. I won't go into all that details and so on, but this is an excerpt out of my other book, okay, which is a workbook that I published for AI for beginners, AI and machine learning for beginners, and you can see that on the side there. And so this is really the direct extract from that book where I actually walk through the day-to-day use cases of AI and its involvement in our society. So that's on Amazon, and I can send the link is there. I can send more information about that after. But just continuing on here, I'm going to show you this video, and you'll be completely surprised if unless you've already seen it before about the beginning about this. Let me pause my screen, and I've set it up, okay, so you can watch the video, and then we'll come right back to it, okay. So this was 1960 on the TV show called the Steve Allen show. Some of you may know. Okay. And let me just move my screen here, trying to get it out of the way. Yeah, here we are. Okay. So yeah, the Steve Allen show called I've Got a Secret. Okay. And I'm just going to share the screen. It's a short video, about 3 minutes in length, 4 minutes in length. And let me share. And just watch this. This is Ray Kurzweil, which is renowned for his work in AI in the early days. Here we go. Oops.
Write the music. I see. The relays write the music. They feed it into this white cheese box here, whatever that is. And there are three little... Are these wires or just pieces of string?
Pieces of string or wires.
I mean, does the message go through there, or are they just pull the thing?
No, that's just recording what the music, what the computer says.
I see. And then the typewriter does the final part of the process. Good. Starring Steve Allen. First of all, would you tell the folks your name and the size of the curtain that's moving in? Oh, I'm sorry. Your name, please.
My name is Raymond Kurzweil, and I'm from Queens, New York.
Queens, New York. Well, panel, Raymond and I just happened to have brought along this little piano here, as you see. And Raymond, in addition, also happens to have, as the old saying goes, happens to have a piece of music with him. And before we show the audience what his secret is, we have just a few seconds for Raymond to play this piece of music. Raymond, the piano's all yours.
Thank you.
Very nicely played, and now your performance, of course, leads into your secret, so if you'll whisper it to me, we'll let everybody at home know what's up. Well, that certainly deserves applause, but, oh, the subway's leaving, I'm sorry. That deserves applause, but what has it got to do with the music? I don't understand that. Ah, I see. Raymond's secret concerns something that he did, and we'll start the game this time with Bess Myerson.
Raymond, that's a very unlikely sounding piece of music. Am I being super critical?
No?
Did you compose it?
No, I didn't.
Oh. Did you, however, were there some kind of formulas or letters or something unusual used to compose, to make up the notes of this piece?
You could say that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for example, would the notes spell out a name, or would they be a mathematical formula, or anything like that?
Not spell out a name, nothing like that, no.
But there are very...
$20 down, 60 to go. Henry?
Was that thing written by a computer?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the answer. Let's so let me just come back on screen here. And that was the first computer that was playing music, that played music. Now, so much has changed, obviously, in the last, 50, 60 years, that what you're seeing, let me go back to my screen here. So what I just showed you was just a video of Ray Kurzweil, which is known as, for his tremendous work, 1965. Okay, on the heels of the AI breakthrough, okay, that we saw there. So that's an application of the computer writing music, and I know he went on to play it. Now AI can play the music now. Anyway, so let's continue on with our presentation here. Whoops, let me just resume sharing. Okay, all right, and now the landscape from all these various large language models, which really came out of the last 15 years, 10, 15 years, been a plethora of growth in this. And so you have some of the major players with the large language models, and they're, ChatGPT, of course, parent is OpenAI, Gemini is Google, Claude is Anthropic, Grok is Elon Musk's company. DeepSeek is also a partner of Google. And so this is what that landscape looks like. And these are what I call the engine. Okay, these are just the beginning. What's underpinning everything here. The early tools that everything is going to be built out of from here going forward. You hear a lot more about all these various tools, but a lot of them, pick up the same basics that underpins all of these. This I can send to you in as a follow-up, so you can have this as a reference document. But what we're gonna whittle this down, okay, from all the players down to what the landscape looks like in terms of major players today. ChatGPT, most popular, general purpose and image generation, Claude, and they're all using the same type of what we call the transformer. Okay, I mentioned that in the previous presentation. Transformer is really that thing that predicts the next word or the next image or the next. Okay, so the concept is what essentially took AI from the dark ages or the winter years it's gone through is what's often referred to as a winter periods, to where we have a proliferation of AI now and the adoption of obviously data and the internet and our online digital space is what's been fueling all of this development. So the more data, AI eats data, the more data we have, the more we're able to learn and to be able to improve and self-improve. But the simple concept of predicting the next thing, okay, predictive, the next word, next sentence, the next paragraph, or the next piece of an image, or whatever it is, it's that concept that's driving all of this. All right, and then Claude is superior in writing analysis, massive context window, and Gemini, Google's ecosystem of integration. I'm going to spend some time on some of these down the road, but there's so many of these to cover off. And Copilot is Microsoft's entry into the space with 365, Office 365. And in fact, Claude is now getting into Microsoft's space. So you're going to see a lot of this, actually, these guys working together over time. But the key really is choosing the right tool that's specific to your need. Again, whittling this down, okay, as we go through this. And then here you can see another slide talking about now comparing OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, which is again the one that hit the road running for all of us, and you just kind of change our vocabulary and change our interaction with computer. It was ChatGPT that did that in 2023, and now Anthropic is kind of the new king, if you will, that's sitting on the throne. And Anthropic, okay, you'll see some of the features as to why. It's all about the latest models that they've created and bringing forth, some of this great feature set that makes things so much easier. And remember, these models are learning on their own. Okay, so it's gone to the point right now. I'm jumping a little bit of myself here, but it's gone to the point now where these models are actually are creating programs, are able to develop this, tools, okay, on their own, because they've learned to do that, and we'll get into that. And eventually there'll be even, a program will be teaching each other programs. So, it's just fascinating how things are moving. All right, so context window and feature set on the left-hand side. Again, I'll send this out too. And for Anthropic, it's large context window. This is important, okay, because this means the amount of content you can put in it, okay? 200,000 for Claude Pro users, and their latest tool is a Sonnet, Claude Sonnet 4. And again, this is just the model and the model number, version number. Compared to OpenAI, it's 128,000 words. You hear the word token. Token means words, okay? So that's what they have the ability to ingest. Think of it as eating the amount. How much can they eat at one time? Okay, or process. Process is a better word. Process at one time. All right, and I'm not going to go through all of these lists here, but you can see the strength across each one. Great for analysis. Versus OpenAI is good for all-round performer. Web browsing, you can see. You get down to image generation, and you can see here image generation. Oh, no, before I go to artifacts versus canvas, that's an important distinction here. And again, I'll showcase some of this stuff here. So artifacts, I'll show you what that is. Canvas is like a form of collaboration. That's what OpenAI approaches. And then you get the chat in context, GPT, versus styles and projects. This is just really how they format or group the information that we interact with it. Okay, so that's what when we say context in the window, that's what we're meaning there is how they go about grouping it and making and presenting it back to the user. Image generation, you see that Anthropic, that's probably the only weakness they have right now, is they don't have an image generator built in, okay? Whereas OpenAI, you can say, what, create an image for me, okay? Now, it's not, the greatest like Gemini's image generator, but they've got that image generator built into it. So again, remember what I said? It's depending on your use case, your use, how you want to use it, or what you need to then determine which tool is best for you. But I actually like to use them both, okay? And even actually feed different ones as to get a different perspective. It's like going to two experts, right? and getting the best of both. All right. SWE stands for really software engineering, okay, and it's benchmark, how well, and you can see it's about the same with both of these guys here, both of these major players here, but how well it recognizes software engineering, and to be able to, there's a benchmark that's used for that. And you get the models and math capability, and then having the free tiers, right? All right, so let's jump. This is again whittling it down right here to Claude. All right, what sets Claude apart? Exceptional reasoning. All right. I mean, we're using some of these words that are so attributed to human beings, but that's what we have. Almost these tools are very much they've learning from us, and so they're very much using thought words and are vocabularies that's similar in terms of what we're interacting with with these things. So they're interacting with us, and they're using similar words, and we attribute reasoning to them, like the brain, because it's thinking. Okay, and in fact, when you give it a prompt, you will see it sometimes say, "I'm thinking," right? Or you can ask it, "What do you think?" And it'll say, "Well, I think." It's just phenomenal that the way we're interacting with these tools. Superior writing, natural human-like tone with excellent style mimicry. And then you get into advanced analytics. All right, these are just some of the things. But Claude handles 175,000 words or tokens, okay, at once. And that's incredible. That's almost 4 times of the Great Gatsby, the book, okay, for those of you that are familiar with the book. All right, let's jump right in, okay, all right, Claude versus ChatGPT. So here you can see again another visual, all right, and context window, 200,000 tokens. Again, words. Again, tokens and words are kind of synopsis, similar, and so you'll somewhat interchangeable. But you'll see that there, and as you can see that versus ChatGPT's 96,000 words to be able to ingest at one given time. All right, the writing quality, more human-like in Claude versus ChatGPT is good all-around performer, but can come across, and I'll show you here, can come across, kind of not scientific, but cold in some ways. And again, this is where we are right now in the snapshot of time, guys. These guys are constantly improving their model with feedback, and so you're going to see some of this come through the in changes and get improved. So this is really a snapshot in time right now, current time. All right, best for long documents. That's Claude analysis and writing. You'll see a demo of that today. And then ChatGPT is quick task and image generation. Okay, I had a presentation to give with a partner I'm working with and so on. And I wrote my document, and I fed it into uh, ChatGPT, and then I no sorry into Claude, and I asked for the image, and I realized, oh, it doesn't do the image. So then I took the document and I moved it over to Claude, to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT did both everything for me, with the image, the presentation images that I needed, and so on. So it really just depends on your needs and so on. But Claude did 90% of what I needed to. Is really just a 10% that I got from ChatGPT. Unique features, artifacts. You see a little bit about this. I'll show you that. Projects, style, how they organize this massive amount of information that they're getting from us. And built a ChatGPT built-in DALI voice mode. Funny, in my book, I mentioned DALI in the later chapters. That was one of my findings in the research that was attributed to ChatGPT, which is an image generating that we're working on at the time, and so on. And so I mentioned that, but they obviously didn't release the ChatGPT brand at that time. But I mentioned giving OpenAI quite a bit in terms of what they were doing, and DALI was one of those that was well known or somewhat at that time. All right. So another analysis comparison here, as we whittle it down and go into Claude, focus on Claude. ChatGPT window, you can see on the left here that, again, you can change the color scheme and all that, light versus dark. But that's kind of what's presented, and this is analogous to, for those of you back in the days, maybe dating myself here, but computer programming, where you're working on a screen of computer, you're typing out, and it just giving you a black screen with white text on it, and just gives you a dump of text. That's kind of analogous to those days. However, you can change the color scheme and all that, as I mentioned. Here you can see in Claude, though, on the right-hand side with Claude, you can see just a bit more polished presentation and information that it gives you, right? And so Claude is really showcasing here, on the left-hand side, the interaction that you're having with it. Okay, on the right-hand side is, that artifacts, display, right? Which, here, as it creates the results, it displays it on the left hand side for you, so you can see it and you can interact with that and say, oh, I like it or I don't like it. Okay, so it's a really nice feature of having that window, that double-sided window there. So Claude's response is a little bit more in depth. It features, requires that here with the request that we sent it, you can see the two distinctly different outputs, okay, side by side here. That was the intent of showing the screen, right? So you can see that Claude's response is a little bit more in depth there. You can see that it's more warm and professional, a little bit more professional, kind of a balance of that, okay, as well as not only the background and the layout of it, the presentation of that, okay. But this is just showing Claude versus ChatGPT on a small scale. I mean, there's so much more. Others have said that Claude sounds a lot more human-like and being more friendly, right? Which is ironic, because here's the thing that been recently well documented, is that Claude actually is more straightforward with you and will push back to you. In fact, you can give it, one of some things we strongly recommend is anytime you give any of these bots a prompt, ask it to make sure that it fully understands you. Does it fully understand on 95% of what you're requesting it to? And feel free to push back to me. So that's giving it some guidelines. Push back to me if you don't understand, or if you think that I'm going down the wrong pathway. Tell it those types of things. In fact, I have some of those prompts I can give you that are specific in nature to phrase that. But people are finding that Claude is more will push back more, will give you kind of facts, but at the same time ask you really interact with you in a very human like. Whereas ChatGPT, on one hand, was very agreeable. And I like what you just said there. Oh, good sounding. I mean, it's like I'm like a parent, with a child in some ways. And so that's a bit of a knock on ChatGPT. I mean, it's just being agreeable, but again, you can get it to be more realistic with you by giving it, the framework in which to interact with you. So again, just finishing off the slide here, Claude also has one of my favorite models, which is, as you can see here, it's the next best action, okay, which it will give you that at the end of your interaction. Claude has seen seen millions of examples in chat thread. And so what it does, it'll give you, side by side and say, what do you want? What do you think we should do in this approach? And it uses that information to train itself. So it's on an ongoing basis, it's learning from you. It's one thing to give that thumbs up. I like that information, but this is another way that it really truly interacts with you. So it relieves total. It's a total stress reliever and brings, Claude in a creative partnership as opposed to just giving you, instruction or being an instruction follower. All right. All right. Claude's secret weapon. This next best feature, as I mentioned, a next best action feature. Okay. Claude anticipates, what you might need next based on the millions of conversations that it's previously had. This is what I was just saying earlier, right? And it's like having a creative partner, not just an instruction follower. So really, it'll ask you, and make some recommendations to you. Some examples of this, after drafting an email, Claude suggests modification. Well, maybe you want to do this. Right. So imagine having someone beside you after you've scripted something and, somebody looking over your shoulder and saying, an expert that is, and saying, hey, how about this? That's what Claude does. Right. When analyzing data, it offers follow-up questions to explore. After creating content, it recommends the next steps or variations of that. Would you like me to give you a variation of this? Right. So it's really, Claude is being very human-like, really interactive with you. Okay. And non-threatening. A bonus I just put on the side here, which is for a future session, but Claude is, and I mentioned that earlier, Claude now has the ability to interface and integrate directly with Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and you can literally have that expert side by side with you. Imagine giving a spreadsheet, just putting in some basic numbers or importing a file and then go, I know what I want in my mind, but I don't know where to start formatting. Just tell Claude and boom, it'll do it for you and go, how about this? Or PowerPoint, right? I mean, we are seeing things happening on a lightning speed like never before in history. With with intelligence, these intelligent tools. So that's something I can showcase another time. But you can see the Claude icon in the right-hand corner of this Excel file, which happens to be my account. I have that integrated in there. So pricing, all of the models have their own pricing features. I'm not going to go into each one of them in this session, just focus on Claude. But Claude has a free, and you can, it's powerful. Excuse me, it's very powerful, right? So you're not being cheated by any means. It's really the more you use it, or the more you the needs you have, then you start thinking about paying for the paid version. But the free version can get you a ton of stuff. Okay, and here you can see, here it mentions image and document analysis. I said didn't have an image generator. It has some basic image stuff. That's not like it doesn't altogether. Okay, and then the $20 version, you get into. One thing I should mention: there's the distinction between free and pro. One of the things that people have been noticing, and it's only actually I believe in recent model releases, is that it's been timing out. So it'll say to you after using it for an hour, or after using it for X number of usage, the amount of data you supplied it and the amount of interaction you've had, it'll say to you, oh, we're going to take a break. So it times out for, and it says, we'll reset your usage, in an hour or two. Okay. It's not significant, but the point is it actually does have a timeout built in, where it will take a break or tell you to take a break in the free version. Okay, but there are ways to get around that. I don't want to go into that into this session. All right, but there is the free version, and of course there's the pro version, and then there's the team, and all these are incredibly inexpensive for what you can do with these tools. You literally have intelligence in your pocket with your phones, or on your computer at scale. Okay, and not to mention too some of the things that you can do that is unimaginable at this point, that you'll see. Oops, let me see if I can get into this. Okay. And then this is an example of telling Claude something, build a scatter plot and to visualize the relationships between page load versus the user session. And you can see it opens up the left side, okay, and shows you as it's working away, what it's doing, okay, and building the plot right there, and you can interact with it, immediately. Okay. Oh, while it's doing that, you can interact with it and say, nope, change this, change that. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Write a report to analyze the user engagement. Okay. Boom. And there it is happening on the left-hand side right away and showing you that. Okay. I want to make sure I leave time for interaction here. You're going to see the demo shortly, and then we'll make sure leave time for the Q&A. As again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat as we go. All right. But here, all right. So Claude's vocabulary. Some of the basic things to think of. There is a plethora of stuff, okay? And you can get access to some of the stuff directly by, there are certain cheat codes you can use. And in future sessions, I'll go into that, because you can give it, you can, say plus a code, the word, the letter, the sign plus, okay? And a code. And it will generate a whole list of things for you, or minus and a code. So there's all these special codes that are hidden from us, the general public. But if I can give that to you in the coming sessions, because they're shortcuts, essentially what they are. Like every computer and keyboard have these shortcuts. Well, Claude has a plethora of shortcuts. But the key things you want to remember when you're working with it, right, is one, prompt, instructions to give that you give to Claude. That's the basic, framework, a prompt, and you can talk to it. The prompt can be a verbal prompt, or it can be, yes, you can actually click the microphone beside it and talk to it, okay, and it will just record your voice and translate that into an instruction. Or you can just type it in, and the prompt really has elements to it. The key elements, again, some of you already know this, but some of the key elements is what you want done, an output, maybe an output file or what you want, and some parameters that go into that. Or you can even start it by telling it, look, to act like the world's greatest accountant or specialist in this particular area, or whatever area you're in. Okay, so it's the problem, and I can send some of those too, and bring some of those back. I've shared some of those in the past, but there's ways to structure that prompt. But the beauty of it now, these tools are getting so intelligent that you can ask it how to structure a prompt. Right? You can say to it, okay, I need this to get done. Can you tell me the best prompt that I can create? Okay. So you tell it what you want, and then it'll come back with it. The context window is the amount of text that Claude can remember at once. And a feature that was put into the latest Claude version was memory. So you can go into Claude, you can set the memory, and it will save everything that you've done, and not lose any of that. One of the things that you got to be logged into it to use it, of course. But yeah, you can choose to have the memory on and off. Okay, but the context window is that area in which that you're sending the information to, and then the model is really the version of the AI. Haku, I think I'm saying that correct. It's fast. This is for Claude. Sonnet is balance, and then Opus is complex. So depending on your need and what you're using, you want to choose the right model. And the model actually, depending on the model version, I should say, it consumes more resources than others. Okay, so if you're just doing straight text, for example, you want to use Haku. Okay. All right, or maybe Sonnet. Actually, Sonnet is better for just straight, conversation. And then artifacts is a separate workspace for your output. Okay, and then projects, organized workspace. with knowledge bases, etc. And then hallucination is a terminology, obviously, that I see your hand there. Um, um, I, Hallucination is a term that has really been around for a while there, and it was really, pervasive in the early stages when AI ChatGPT, for example, was released. You're seeing a sixth finger on a hand, for example, or something else. It would do that you didn't ask it to do. Well, because of the impressive training and learning of these models now, it's becoming less and less, but it's still okay. Something to keep in the back of your mind when AI, confidently states something that's false. Always make sure you verify it, okay? Because it could hallucinate. Let me just, before I go into the demo, all right. I see a question there. Go ahead with your question. Do you want
On
to
that
unmute?
last slide, on the last slide one, when you were talking about how cool Sonnet on
Yeah.
the Opus, where do you see when you're in call? Because I have it up on my screen. Where do you see that where it says Haiku, Sonnet, or Opus? So yeah, I know which one I'm using.
Yeah, if you go into the drop down, and I'll show you that in the screen actually, when I go to
Okay.
the demo, live demo. There's a little
Okay,
drop down
thanks.
right beside where you type in your prompt. You get to choose the version. So let's go into the
Okay.
demo. Okay. Um, so so we're gonna get into that, and just give me a moment. Let me just get set up for that. All right. So in the demo, we're going to do some real business cases. In the interest of time, we may not get into all of these, okay? Because it's better for you to just digest something really important and getting too much all at once. So I'll cover off some of the other ones in the future sessions. But let's go into the demo for professional writing and interest of time, and also to I think we'd be able to get to a couple of these at least anyway. So give me a moment. I'll just set us up. Okay. Before I do the demo, I'm just gonna just so I don't lose this, and I will send this to you afterwards. I'm just gonna cover off real quickly the glossary of terms, all right, and then we'll get back to this shortly. So some of and then we'll jump into the demo. Some of the key things, again, just sticking with the last slide that I had there, with regard to the key words that you want to remember with using Claude. These terms here are general, okay? They're not just specific to Claude. AI obviously is computer systems that perform tasks requiring human intelligence. And then LLM, language models. The technology behind ChatGPT, prompts. We just talked about that. For example, saying write, a post and so on. A context window. How much AI info it will remember. In Claude's case, we talked about the number of tokens or the words that it gives you. Token, here we go, is a basic unit of like 3/4 of a word. Okay. And that's used in billings and so on. That's important to know. And then a model is like the AI version. Um, and then one other slide I have on term here is so artifacts is specific to Claude. Claude separates workspace and code docs and so on. Projects is Claude's feature. And then you get into multimodal is another term you'll hear a little bit about. And that's AI that works with text, images, audio, and video. Okay, not just text. Hallucination, we talked about that one already. And API is another term that's becoming more popular. It's been around a long time in the computer industry, but it's become more popular and more accessible. And it's a way as the softwares talk to each other. Lets developers interface with AI. It's like a handshake. Okay, so it's really the two. A software engineer typically will use an API to draw from or connect that to their software. The Claude or things. So what you saw with Microsoft I showed you earlier, an example of that is Microsoft is using Claude API. Okay, and it's application protocol information, I think is what it's called, or instruction, okay, is what API stands for. And then fine tuning is really training AI for specific data, um, specialize in it. All right. And that is what we will go now to the demo. And give me a moment again. Let me just share set up again. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or okay. So I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to go to the Claude window. And I just wanted to use this session as for the basics, but we will get into some more interactive sessions, as you stick with us over the coming weeks, whereby you'll learn a lot of hands-on stuff. So all right. So for starters, okay, what we're going to do, okay, is I've got a bunch of prompts. And I'm going to put these prompts in the system, in interest of time, I already have them typed out, but I will send them to you or make them available to you. You can download them, okay, and do this as a part of your homework exercise. All right, so we're going to start with an executive summary. So let's say that you've got an executive report from or a business report that you want to summarize, and you can think of any situation you're in. It doesn't have to be business. It could be whatever industry you're in. You've got a large document that you want the tool to analyze for you. So first of all, you want to go and get the file, and give me a moment. I had it here somewhere. Let me just find it. I thought I had it in the right place. Okay. Okay. So this is a sample business report. I just imported it. This is a very large document. I think it's like 200,000 words. Okay, massive. And I put this, and I said, please analyze this business report and provide these three things. Okay, remember the prompt. I'm just structuring it away. I want you to provide a 3-sentence executive summary. I want you to do the top 3 findings, and I also want any immediate red flags I should be aware of. Imagine if you were a real estate agent or you were a lawyer or something, and you want the information real quick instead of sitting and reading through every single page of it. Well, I'm just going to hit go. And I see your hand there. I'll get to that shortly. Okay. And in a matter of seconds, look at the summary that I just got out of this report. Okay. That is a significant. Okay. So here it's giving me an executive summary. All right. So tech forward solutions, Q4 digital marketing showed strong growth. All right. Then it says the three key findings, the 3 key findings which I asked for: an email conversion rate of 2.4, which is a decline from a year ago. The cost of acquisition, 23% quarter over quarter. Google Ads, again, this is just a fictitious company that we just chose, right? And just use this document for Claude AI to just go through and analyze for me. All right, clear winners and losers in this channel. There's some winners here. LinkedIn is the best place to do the digital marketing. The losers are Twitters, and it's showing you the cost. It is going through the information at light speed and provide this tremendous value of insight. All right, that sometimes you would pay a consultant or pay someone, imagine bringing a junior person into your company to just, do something like this. You're paying for the staff, you're paying for the time, you're paying the time that it takes for them to get back to you. You just got this in seconds. Okay. Immediate red flags, some critical things to consider. Okay. It's unsustainable economics, high risk, email list damage, urgent Twitter budget is being wasted, $85,000 spent on ads, and all of that analysis that happened in seconds. Go ahead with your question there.
Hi, Wayne. So
Yeah.
2 questions. Are you using the free version right now, or are you in the paid
Yes.
version?
Well, no, I'm using the paid version. Sorry. I'm using the paid version, but it doesn't matter. Okay. You can use the free version on this. And the previous question, thanks for your question there. The previous question I was asked was, where do you choose the version number? Here it is down here. Okay. The little drop down there. It tells me the models that I want to choose from. All right. So I can choose Opus. I can choose Sonnet. I can use Haku. Okay. And I'm on Sonnet. Okay. So let's put based on that document, let's put another instruction in. It said, now extract all action items from the document. For each of them, I want you to tell me what needs to be done. Imagine going through your email. By the way, you can set this on your email, go through all of your emails and tell you, what's my to-dos for the days, or what did I miss, or so anyway, that's another session, but let's stick to this document. Okay, and I want you to give me priority level, and I can say, give this to me in a chart. Okay, oops, let me just do that. Give results in chart form. I can be as specific as I want, or I can let it decide. Okay. Okay. While it's doing that, get ready for the next prompt, where we do some risk analysis. All right, so there you can see how quickly, look at that. Okay, immediate action items. Number 1, conduct a full audit. Number 2, segment email. And then it's going across here, the responsibility, who's responsible for it, the deadline, the priority, and of course the context. Is that not phenomenal? Even in just a short period of time. And then a quick summary down here. The total actions, 12. 2 of them are priority. High priority is 6 of them. And then it just goes on and says the critical path in the next 30 days. Now, stop Twitter ads ASAP. By January 15th, again, it's based on the document, the date. Okay. Complete the paid advertisement. Okay. And Jan 20, video contract hired. Let's move on to the next prompt. Okay, here we go. We're going to do this based on the report. Identify the top 3 business risks. For each, suggest 1 practical mitigation, etc. And be specific. Again, I'm giving it, it's how you talk to a child. I mean, well, not a child. How you talk to an intelligent, person that you want very specific, actionable results. Okay, and that might be your, a child, or that might be an adult with it. But and you can have loose conversations, but here we're being very precise. Okay, to get the results we want, and that's right. So risk analysis and mitigation. And you can see here, risk number 1 is unsustainable. Okay. Again, think of any use case scenario where you have a large document or a massive amount of information that you need to ingest, process, okay? And, I don't know, some of you may be tremendous readers and so on. You can sit and read a book in one sitting. I cannot. I'm a business-minded guy, okay? I take weeks to go through a book, and go back through, and I'm a slow reader and so on. I've given AI my book, which is a 200-page book, and asked it to summarize it, and it came back and gave me an amazing summary of my book, which I was phenomenally surprised at, and at the same time excited by, because it captured, precisely what my book was about. 200-page book. All right, and of course we can even add audio to that, and so. But anyway, I'm digressing. I want to stay on track here. All right, so mitigation strategy. Week 1, week 2, all this information is right here. I will send you these documents, and you can run your own tests and trial on it too. Okay, or I'll make them available to you, I should say. Okay, you can run your own tests and analysis on these. And then, again, get to risk number 3. So it's doing everything I've asked it to do in a matter of seconds. Okay, and then it found an opportunity that's being missed. All right, number 1, the partner co-marketing agreement. So this is kind of things that over time we've built businesses on, with humans and experts, and having counsels and counselors and wise people that we go to, and learnings from other industries and so on. What AI is something that is the greatest intelligence amongst us, because it's collective, and it has access to the collective history of data, information, human knowledge, resources, etc. Over decades, and so in fact, Eric Schmidt, who's the co-founder of Google, he said, you can find us on YouTube. He said this phrase, I've mentioned this a number of times, that AI has ingested every piece of data known to man, of any language, of any culture, of and religion. you name it. Okay, it is fact. In fact, AI is running out of information that it's going to ingest. So to the point where it needs to now create what is called synthetic data. I talk about that in my book also. Synthetic data. Okay, but anyway, so here, opportunity number 3. Okay, a video context. Imagine you taking your business. Okay, the reports over the last number of years, or where you are, where you want to go, and feed it into this, and then ask it, some of these critical questions. Opportunity number 4, 5, and so on. Okay, let's go on to number, I think I got one more here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're going to create an artifact. This is one of those things that set AI apart. Did I see a hand up there?
It's me. It's
Yeah, go
Phyllis.
ahead. Go ahead.
You may be getting ready to do this because you just did it a chart format. I was wondering if if the artifact was like an infographic, because I know when you're giving a report out, usually you want to share the chart. Sometimes you show an infographic. So I was wondering, what are the other capabilities? I know I've seen PDF format, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen infographic.
Yeah, I have not specified in any of those outputs. Those are what you specify. You can specify infographic, you can specify a PDF, a Word, Excel spreadsheet, even Google Docs. So again, that's all in the prompting. And I'll spend another session, maybe revisiting the prompting structure and all that. But right now, all I'm really doing is having a conversation with the tool, excuse me, to be able to say, give me, these are the results that I'm looking for. And it's able to spit it out in a matter of seconds. But I have not, to your point, I have not specified the output. So infographics, yes, I could say, make this in an infographic. Or I could say, export it to a Word document. In this particular case here, I have sent it to a Word document. Okay, so it's going to go to a Word document. Okay, and that's, hang on a second. It's just given a few more minutes when that comes up. So a couple of things I want to point out. Typically, something like what I just did there, just to prepare and go through all, it could take minimum 45 minutes, and we did this in less than 5 minutes. All right. So incredible efficiency and lead time, and these are the things that we're talking about. We're talking about these tools. Okay. Claude ingests 200,000 words. That is phenomenal. 200,000 words is a lot. I mean, my book is 200 pages. It's 45,000 words. Some of these novels, are 100,000 words. Sorry, 60, 70,000 words. Yeah, these novels, but here we are, we're dealing with something that can ingest 200,000 words at one time and analyze it. And here you can see the artifact on the left-hand side, the quick layout, easy, and then it's a word format, and I can interact with it right here. I can download it. I can send it to open it in Drive. I can send it to other formats, but all of it has been created for me on the fly, on the spot, as we talk in less than 5 minutes in our meeting conversation. All right. I want to be respectful of the time. I said I would keep it tight. Any questions or comments based on what you see here? And then I'll give you homework and hope to see you at our next session. But any questions or comments? You can unmute yourself or raise your hands.
Hi.
But this report is phenomenal. I mean, this is an incredible report that you would pay someone to generate something like this. And of course, they have to go through all the data. Go ahead. I think I heard someone.
It's me.
Or,
Hi, Twin.
hello, Dexy. Hey.
How are
Good.
you?
I'm doing great. Good to have you here
Yes,
today.
great information as always. As always. Thank you so much. I learned a lot today. Learned a lot.
Terrific. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. I mean, and I know you've been in this space for a while too, and learning so much. There's so much around this, and we're really only scratching the surface. It seems like even the more we learn, the more we're still in the scratching the surface stage. So thanks for your comment and your support. So this is
Hi,
go
Wayne.
ahead.
Sorry.
Hi, Rosie. Go ahead. Yep.
Quick question. I joined late and also had some interruptions
That's okay. That's all
in
right.
the interim. Is this going to be posted somewhere, like
Yes,
this session?
it is being recorded, and the session will be posted. Yes.
I have one question.
Just give me 1 minute here. Yeah. Yep, go ahead with the question.
Oh, so this data that you feed into Claude or ChatGPT or any one of them, what happens to that data? What does it, besides using it for historical data and for, what have you,
Yeah.
does it save your data? Does it create a digital version of you somewhere in the...
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we are in the world right now in the digital age where our information, and that's why I wrote my book. I hate this. Don't not hate. Forgive me for segueing a bit here, but our world is operating through digital uh, information. Okay, and so every time we get on our mobiles, anytime we get on the computer, we're interacting, and our information is out there. So these tools have been already been picking up our information everywhere, and so when we're engaging with it, there is an element of privacy, absolutely, because they're not making your information available to others. When you submit your business report or you submit others, it is on your account. Okay, so are there risks? There's risks just like using any other site and so on. But the nice thing is that this is your account. So your information, and you can go in there and say, okay, I only want my information. Remember, I said you can, if you, not sure if you heard earlier, so you can turn the memory on and off. Okay, so the memory stays means that you can go back to it for later. But if you want to interact with it, you can interact with it and choose to have the memory removed. Here's a sidebar note. I'll give you an example. My mom is 80 years old or 81. She's incredibly, I think I got my technology skills from her actually, because she was in the computer age before, long before, back in the day. So she's really sharp, and picks up, learns really fast. And she learns technology. She's read my book. She does all kinds of stuff on. However, and she knows about ChatGPT and AI and so on, and she won't, get an account. She refuses to. So again, this is just a sidebar note here, but what I said to her, I said, okay, if you want to use the tool and you don't want to, open it in incognito mode. And for those of you who are familiar with incognito, okay, you can go into any window of Google and open it up, and you can, and basically it doesn't, your IP address of your computer is not being broadcast. Okay, so you essentially opening up a temporary session where you act, and anything you do and that gets deleted immediately after you close the window. So there's no memory whatsoever, no history, and it's, so, and I talk about some of these things in my book, okay, Reclaiming Digital Gold, which is all about data, as I mentioned. So you can use some of those methods if you like. If you're feel uncomfortable, you can use some of those methods to certainly protect your data. But when it comes to using the tools itself, I wouldn't fear so much about you know my data being compromised or anything like that. Because it is your account and safe. But if you use the incognito mode, okay, that will actually allow you to use it temporarily, and none of the information gets remembered. You don't even have to sign up for an account. You can use it for free, okay? But it's limited in terms of what you can do when you do that, okay? And I'll just close off with these last couple of slides here, and then we'll bring it to a close, okay? So this is our day one wrap up. All right, we've covered off the essentials for Claude, which includes the definitions and of each of these areas, and then of the various things you can do. And then I'll just wrap up to say this is how you can reach me if you need to connect with me. Okay, I have my books. Reclaiming Digital Gold was the first one, and that is about data, information, and technology, and AI, and how we essentially are producers of the digital world, commodity of data. And you can book with me on Calendly, or you can reach me on LinkedIn, or you can go to my site, Reclaiming Digital Gold. For any business here that wants to do any work with me, or identify how well they are in terms of preparedness for AI, I have an AI readiness test you can do, and go by going to this link, AI-readiness.pilot.lovable.app, and you can get access to that test and interact with me from there. That's it, folks. Unless there's any other questions, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Okay, next steps. Again, sign up for your free account. Try the prompts, okay, that I provide. I'm going to provide a cheat sheet and also experiment with the artifacts that's specific only to Claude. Download the takeaway materials, and we'll see you in week number 2 or next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.